Hi everyone, welcome once again. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can create what we call AWS secret key and access key. Right, so what is it actually? So before you can access your AWS resources, okay, you have options. The first option is to log in through the console, which you have previously been doing. So you log in with your username and password, okay, and you have the right permission to access your resources. Right. We have other options of accessing your resources, either through CDK or your command line, your CLI, or using any other automation tools. Okay. In that case, you need what we call secret key and access key. So this is when you want to access your AWS account programmatically, either using CDK or any other automation tool. So think of it, secret key, access key. In other words, it's like username and password. Okay, that is what it is. So let's go into the console and create one. And what we will do is we're gonna use our CLI command line to access our AWS resources based on the permission that we have. So let's quickly go to the console and get this done. Okay. Right. So let's go to my console. Here is my AWS account. Okay. So to generate what we call secret key access key, you go into identity and access management. Okay. If you don't have it, you can search for it on here. Okay. IAM. Okay. I've done a full video. Those who are not sure how it's done. So you can open this in a new tab. Okay. I've got it already open here. Okay. So you navigate yourself to a user. So first of all, you create a user. Okay. After creating the user, then you create the secret key and access key for that particular user to access the resources either through CLI or CDK. Okay. So let's create a user. Okay. So create user on the right hand side here, and you give the user a name. Okay. So let's call this user Max. Okay. Hyphen dev, maybe. Let's add that. Max hyphen dev. Right. So we have this option here. So we are not going to provide the management console access. Why? Because we want to use this programmatically. So we ignore this. All we need to do is to go next. Okay. Right. So AWS is forcing you to add these users to group. We are not going to do that. If you want to add the user to a group, you check this box. Okay. We're not going to add the user to a group. Again, you can attach policy straight away whilst you're creating the user. Okay, or you can copy policy. But let's ignore that and then we will add the policy later. Okay. So ignore the group, ignore the rest. So let's go next. Okay. So the user is about to create. You can tag it if you want, basically label it. Okay, if you want. Let's leave that. And what we need to do is to create a user called max dev. Right. Okay. So the user is created, but this user literally cannot do anything. Right. So what we need to do, let's go into the user. Okay. So for now, all you can see, there's no permission. The user doesn't have any permission to do anything. Can't even log into the console or use any CLI. Okay. So what we need to do first is to create the credential, the security credential, which we call the secret key and access key. So we go here, security credentials, and then you navigate yourself to access keys. Okay, so we're going to generate one. You click on the create. So you have various options. So you are leveraging on the CLI, you can pick that one, or you can pick others if you want to. Okay, whichever one you want, others or the CLI. Okay, the CLI will tell you there are better options you can leverage on. Okay, you can leverage on the roles or use different options instead of you creating the secret key and access key. Okay, but we still want to create it. Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, so let's create or let's accept this. Let's confirm that. And what we need to do is to go next. Okay, you can describe it. Okay, if you can put something here. So secret keys for, let's say, max dev. Yeah. That's fine. Put something there to describe it. And what we need to do is to generate, right? When we click create, okay, this secret key and access key, you could see this two. We have the access key. So this is like your username. Yeah, we can have a look at your username. But your password, you don't want to be showing your password. Basically, that's why it's hiding this, and this is visible. So username, password, you can show your username but not your password. But for learning purposes, I'm going to show you. I'm going to open it up. We will use it, but guess what, at the end of this lesson, I'm just going to delete it anyway. And here it gives you the best practices if you are leveraging on access key and secret key. So you store this, don't store it plain text. Don't leave this in a repository or in a code base. Okay, if you don't need it, you know just delete it. Okay, and at least rotate them every now and then. Give it a date, 90 days, 30 days, rotate your keys. That are the best practices. Okay, I will show that one you later, but for now we are interested in creating. So you can either download this or you can copy it into any file and then you use it somewhere. Okay, so for now let's copy this. Do I have any? Let me open this here. Ignore that one. Let me remove that. So I've copied the uh, access key. That's the access key, isn't it? We copied that one first. Yeah, so let's put that one here. And then the other one was, what's it called? Yeah, secret key. Okay, we cancel that one here. Let's leave that one here. So that one is secret key. Let's put just secret and then put it here. Okay, so kind of we got it what we need. Okay, we've copied it. Now how do we use it? Okay, you need to configure this on your CLI or wherever you're going to use it, but we are going to use this on our command line. So let me show you. So I've got so we can either use your normal terminal here, or if you have Visual Studio Code you can use it. Okay, so let's use it on here on Visual Studio Code. It's more, there's a different contrast in it, so we can see more clearly. Right, so to configure this on your CLI, okay, what we need to do before I do that, let me show you. There is actually here documentation how to literally set this up. So I can share this in the chat, not in the chat, in the comments, so people can have a look. Read this. Basically tells you how to set it up. Okay, so if you scroll down, so you're gonna say configure and then you provide all this, okay, or that. So it gives you accept here. So for this one, if you are configuring it as a default, okay, you just say AWS configure. If you want to set a profile, by that I mean profile is just like it's like a files with different users and their credentials. So if you call a particular profile, say user prod, it's just gonna call that user with user prod. But if you don't provide any profile, the credential will be set as default. Okay, so this is that one. So anytime you call the secret key and access key, is just going to use the default. But if you want a specific user, you can set a profile. So let's leverage on setting the profile. Okay, so it's basically AWS configure and then you add your profile name. Okay, let's copy that for now. So we go to our command line here, and what we need to do is to paste it here. Okay, so AWS configure, the name can be any name you want for the profile. Okay, so you can say, your profile or my profile. So we call this max dev if you want to. So max dev, let's call it max dev. Yeah, so max dev, we set in the profile, enter. Okay, happy days. Now it's asking you your access key. So the access key, this one, we can copy it again here. Access key, we grab it here, go back to the command line, Visual Studio Code, that's what we want. And then you paste it here. Okay, enter. And then it's asking you the secret key. Okay, again, go back to the console, grab it here. Go back to your command line, Visual Studio Code, that's the one we want. And then you're gonna paste it here. Okay, enter. The rest, you can set a default region if you want, okay, for the profile, or you can leave it. Then you provide your region at any point in time. Okay, so for now, let's leave it and go enter. Okay, the default format, the output of the command, sometime when you issue it, okay, you can pick. So for now, let's say YAML. Okay, that should be fine. And then we say enter, and then we are done. Okay, so this profile is set in the credentials. So this is how we do it. Okay, I will show you later. But for now, we've configured it. How do we access resources within AWS? Okay, so let's go to the right. Before we go to the console, let's go to the console and let me show you something. So the user, let's go back to the user master. Remember, there's no permission. The user does not have any permission to do anything. Okay, so let's try and see if this user can access anything like a bucket. Yeah, so we will say AWS. Yeah, remember, before you do this, you need to make sure you have installed AWS CLI on your machine. That is why I'm calling it here. If you don't have it installed, it will not work. So to do that, again, there is a documentation for it, how to set, where is that, installing AWS CLI on your machine. Okay, depending on what you have Mac, you can use that. If you got Windows, where is that, Windows, just follow that steps to download it. Okay, so I've got mine already set. So all I need to do is to call that, come back here and say AWS, okay, because I want to authenticate into AWS, and I will say S3, yeah, because I want to look at S3 bucket, and now I'm going to list all the buckets, so S3 ls, okay. But I want to use my profile, the profile I've configured with the secret key and access key. So I will say hyphen profile, okay, the profile I've configured. And then what is the profile name? We call it max hyphen dev, isn't it? That's the profile, max hyphen dev. That will do. So let's watch this. Enter. Okay, right, and we get this access denied. Yeah, you know why? Because this user, max dev, has no permission, as I show you, to list in the bucket. Now what we are going to do is to give max dev permission to, let's say, list bucket for now. Okay, so we come back to this account and we are going to, so this is the user, okay, max dev. In here, add policy or permissions, you add it, and what we are going to add is add policy directly, and we are going to say S3 read only or something. So let's search for S3 and see if what we get. So S3 full access, S3, let's give it read only. Okay, read all. Okay, we go next, we go add, and that should be good. Now if we go back and try again, hopefully Max should have access. Right, so again, if you say AWS, okay, S3, and then S3, what are you going to do? You're going to list. What are you listing? Or the bucket, okay, you are using your profile, so hyphen profile, okay, the profile we created. And then what is the profile name? It's max hyphen dev. Happy so far? Nice. Okay, so if you try this, hopefully, not hopefully, we should be lucky. Yeah, so let's press enter, because we're giving this user permission. And then here we go. These are the list of buckets in my account. So Alpha 582, body cloud, the list goes on. So therefore, this user has access. So this is how we set what we call secret key and access resources programmatically, either through your CLI, CDK, or any other through automation. Okay, so this is quite handy. So watch out for my next video. Hopefully, I'll be doing with this with MFA attached. Okay, I hope you learned something. Keep watching the video. Keep commenting. If you want me to do specific video again, let me know. If this is helpful, please share with your friends, those who you might think might need this. Okay, so until then, happy learning. Bye bye.